Bonus point win. 4 tries against the local rivals. Have you got much better today?
Nope. Next question. No, without doubt. Look, I want to be flippant about it. You know how hard these things really are, and obviously we are delighted with the outcome, of course, especially on the back of a Welsh derby defeat the week before. Everyone knows that the West Wales derby is really, really important, and yeah, we got up tonight, which was good. But you know, as we've just witnessed ourselves, a week's a long time in rugby.
What pleased you the most?
I think, firstly, the resilience and mannerisms within the group. You know, so we're not a group, and Tommy probably can elaborate. We don't sugarcoat when we do well, and we don't sugarcoat when we do badly. We just talk about what we need to do and move on as quickly as we can, and to put those words into action, and to see the response. Particularly, you know, there's a lot of headline players in that. You know, the forwards, when this gentleman being part of that, when it was exceptionally well, and set piece, you know, made a big difference. But even just repairing your own performance. So I thought the young halfbacks, we were under a lot of pressure last week to play as well as they did. Jack Walsh reported a groin issue in the warm-up, to front out for 60 minutes and produce that sort of performance was brilliant. And they're young players, right? So to learn and turn that learning into actions, and the resilience of the group is probably the most pleasing thing.
Just the occasion as well. You've got, you know, there's more here than there have been. You know, they saw more tries and, you know, another win against the local side. You do implore them to come back?
Oh, of course. Look, I think getting people. I mean, you know, I know there's mutins in the press and in different areas, you know, British leagues and this league. The more people that watch the game, the better the game's going to be. However we get there, you know. And I'm not, you know, URC would slap me across the wrist, but, you know. But if we can create that atmosphere in any game, those things are really, really important for us. And the boys respond to them, and everyone responds to them. And you have, you know, days where you win and play well. Then, yeah, we're in the entertainment business, and people want to come back, and that's what we've all got a responsibility to do.
Jack Morgan played today, first start for a while. Just makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, losing Justin is big too. Different sort of players, but there's very few people, you know, that are as rugby smart and can deliver consistency like a Justin Tipperick or a Jack Morgan, for example. So having him on the pitch was great. Having so much leadership on the pitch was great. I thought Adam Beard led the line out exceptionally well all week. He's been very visible doing that. Brilliant. Jack obviously did lead in his own way. Dowie Lake leading his own way. Tommy leading his own way. We're very strong on trying to generate more leaders in this group. Hence the reason Morgan Morris is the captain. You know. So from that point of view, yeah, a lot of box ticking for sure.
Kieran Williams, you know, he's been in and out a little bit, but he again showed the way to the line. How impressed have you been in since he came back from Wales, the World Cup, and that extended training squad?
That was difficult for him, because you get a taste of it and then you don't get it, and that's not just him. That's a lot of players that are, you know, none of us like being rejected, right? You all remember that first girlfriend, but you do. So you're all laughing, you all remember her, right? It has an effect, right? It has an effect. So we've got to make sure we create an environment where we're supportive, but also, right, what are we going to do about it then? And then to see the response from Kieran, Morgan, Morris, for example, who's not been involved, Reece Davis, you know, those boys are big players for us, and all they can do is keep putting their hand up and keep performing well, you know. And Keith would probably had a bit more run of it, but after, you know, the Duncan Weir tackle here that obviously, you know, causes HIA, but that's part and parcel of it. It's great to see him deliver a performance like that.
There were 16 players missing today and available.
Yeah, I don't know, percentage-wise we're getting close to 40%, I think. So, you know, that's a lot of players, and a lot of significant players. If you actually look at the detail of who that actually is for us, so that's another thing. That resilience, you know, I wouldn't use the phrase strength in depth. It's the numbers we've got, but anyone who pulls a shirt on needs to be, as we all talk about a lot, be the best version of themselves as often as they can, and a lot of boys did that tonight, and they do that regularly for us, and you don't always get on the right side of the scoreboard, but that's what we pride ourselves on.
George unavailable tonight, how is he?
He's all right actually. He's got off his 40-degree temperature from his knee infection. He's right. It was good to see him here with the boys today. So yeah, I mean, that one came out of the blue really. That was the one we were expecting him to be around, but that manifested itself on Wednesday, you know, Kieran goes back in, and when the boys step up.
got headlines on George. Any updates on that?
No, I've not. I mean, as I said, I know this is your favourite question, Gareth, so we'll continue for the third week in succession. No, look, George and I have had conversations around his future. You know, let's be on record about it. There's nothing to report. There's nothing on our side. We know where we are in this whole arrangement, and the backdrop of Welsh rugby is very, very difficult to keep your most high-profile players that earn a lot of money, okay, but deserve to earn the money they do. Especially, I have no animosity or a player trying to do what's right for him, because it's a short career, and that's exactly what it's all about. So, if we can't do it due to the constraints we're under, then all the best. We'll always try and find solutions to keep our best players, of course, but tough decisions that have to be made on both sides, and he needs to look after his family, so I'm all good for that.
Tom, set piece dominance today, especially, you know, sort of the scrums after losing the early penalty. Were you happy with that?
Yeah, I was really proud of the boys. I thought we've gone well against a really good side. You know, there's some good experience on their side. Look at a guy like Wyn Jones, Ryan, all of them, really good side. So I'm pleased with the boys, and I can only thank my back five. You look at guys like James Finder, Beardy, Rhys Davies. It's all massive men. They should get all the credit.
How modest of you, Tom.
Toby, it's my first question on George North and last one, I promise.
It's all right. It's a new one for you. I'm just used to it. I don't know.
Will the Ospreys be offering him a new contract, or do you have to just accept that you can't afford to, like all the regions, can't afford to keep your sort of top end?
It's a difficult one, because it's not as straightforward as that, because it's not just about one player. You can imagine what this conversation was like last year with what we had off contract. You know, the numbers are, your budget is reduced by £2 million, it's going down another 800 million, Christ, £800,000. I might as well walk out. £800,000, you know, we're going to, you know, to low budgets, and we have to get a squad of players. And if you think about from percentages of, you can't chew up so much money in one position or one person. It's just can't. So, you know, we're lucky in the fact that strategically, when I came here, I said I was going to commit to growing our own, and a lot of the people that we've been talking about are part of that process. And sometimes those times, would I love to, you know, get the Ospreys legends and keep them around and do it? Of course I would, especially when you're 40% injured. Trust me, you look at that physio room and you're like, it's tough. And that's why these boys should take massive credit for fronting up every week and doing what they need to do. And, you know, all of those players are part of that journey, and unfortunately sometimes those journeys don't end as you'd like them to, because you just can't end them. So if something comes along beforehand, okay, that someone feels they've got no way they can't ignore that, then, you know, it doesn't matter what we do, because they've already sorted it out, and that's where it sits. You know, he's proactive around what his options are. I completely get that. We have to be in a position that we can to offer contracts, and if those things are misaligned as well, it's tough.
In terms of performances today, another great performance from Max Nagy, well, I thought anyway. What is his position in terms of being Welsh qualified? Can you just give us some clarity?
I can, yeah. Well, I can. We don't know. There you go. That's a great that's a great headline for you. I'll give you some clarity on Max Nagy, but we don't know what it is. No, Max has obviously been resident in Wales for a long time, being a Swansea uni guy. We've asked that question because, in theory, he should be Welsh qualified pretty quickly, if that's the case. But it just questions on when the residential element starts to it. So we're waiting. We've asked the questions with the people who've got the answers. We're waiting for a response.
Yeah. Has there been any conversations with Warren Gatland or any of the national coaches surrounding Max? Because he's playing really well, isn't he?
No.
But do you think he could?
Again, he's there's a position. It's a bit like, everyone's talking about 10s, everyone's talking about 15s. Back row players. It's any coach, whether it's a national coach, a regional coach, a coach down the road, wants their best players, more players, and best players to pick from. So we understand that. We all play a part in that, and those lines need to be as clear as possible in order to try and get what we all want, which is deeper, more competitive squads. So we'll keep asking the question, and I understand it from the WLU point of view. They're governed by that decision as well. It's not their decision; it's someone else's decision. So, I'm sure if that decision comes through, he's available by X, then those conversations will probably take place.
Yeah. And you know, a victory like this, how much will it do for the, you know, the confidence of the squad moving forward? It must be quite big from that point of view, isn't it?
What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I think so, especially with the young group, you know. Wins like that gives you confidence, and it helps retaining momentum. And I think what excites me about it is the young guys that stood up tonight. You know, you look at guys like Morgan Morris, he's still young, but he's probably close to 100 caps. Rhys Davies, he's very experienced, very young still. Ruben, same story. Rhys Henry did great when he came off the bench. So I think,
and then you get the new youngsters, you know, your Dan Edwards, etc.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got a job to get these boys through, and because A, there's a necessity, but B, that's the only way we're going to get out of this.
Yeah. James Fender impressed you as well.
Go on, tell him.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him.
We were talking just now. He's really playing well, isn't he? And he's
very well. I think he stepped up immensely. I think he learned a lot last year. You know, he went away on loan, came back, different player, more mature. He's very powerful. He's a very big man. I think he's going to have a big career ahead of him. That's
a really good example, because, and this is the worry about smaller squads and numbers, right? So the satellite view in this is, we were allowed the luxury of going, right, he needs to go and play in the English Championship, for example, which is a very front five orientated league, go and get some edges knocked off him, get used to it, play week on week, and then you bring him back, put a good pre-season into him, and you start to see what his talent really is. He's in great physical nick, he's great scrummaging behind Tommy, and Tommy doesn't give those compliments out very often, which is why I asked him. But if you have a necessity to put players forward before they are ready, or you've not given them the best development program, it's a little bit more hit and miss. And that's not the same for everyone, but that's a great example about trying to have a program that is competitive, or a team that's competitive, as well as it's mindful about it still needs to develop what it's got. And that's a great example of when it works well.
Toby, can I just ask what were your thoughts on Dan Edwards? He came on towards the end, made an immediate impact.
Yeah, no, great for him. I mean, obviously he's someone that we've got very high hopes. He's a great example of what we talked about. You know, we've got relationships with say the Cheetahs, for example, that you know about. You know, would be a great example for him. Playing that example, right? You can go and play Curry Cup for down there. Would be a brilliant example of that. Now, that's not to say he's not going to play for us, but we're also mindful he's come out of an under-20s. You know, you need time in the saddle in that position. And what was great was, you know, I wanted to give the halfbacks another go, because I thought they got the rough edge of it last week, to be fair. And partly a lot of it to do with no fault of their own, but the way they both responded was great. And we'll give Dan some more first team opportunity in the next few weeks, you know, and to see where he is, because we can't keep putting Jack and obviously Owen Williams will be back next week as well, so it's good to have some experience around him to give him chances to thrive. It's not no point just throwing him out there and go, right, off you go, kid, and see how you get. No, you learn a bit, but again, what I'm really saying is we need to be deliberate about it, but we're excited about it.
Tom, Steph asked about Max Nagy. You get asked it quite a lot in interviews. You've been here a while, you've made an impression. Is Wales something on your radar? Is it something within your sort of remit in terms of qualifying and playing?
My biggest focus is on the Ospreys group. We're in a building phase now, and it's a good phase to be part of, so I'm focusing fully on the Ospreys. Can't control anything else.
Yeah.
My biggest focus is Ospreys, and will always be Ospreys.
But as you'd imagine, a player wants to play to the best of his talent, so I can say he can't.